Eclipse. Eclipse, previously known as Firefly Beta and the Medium Launch Vehicle, MLV, is a two-stage, partially reusable medium-lift launch vehicle being jointly developed by Firefly Aerospace Incorporated, Firefly, and Northrop Grumman Corporation. Formally announced in 2022, the rocket is designed to be a successor to Northrop Grumman's Antares launch vehicle, able to be partially reused and can launch 16,300 kilograms, 35,900 pounds, into low Earth orbit, LEO. Currently, the maiden launch of Eclipse is slated for the second half of 2026. Eclipse can be traced back to the late 2010s, following Firefly Space Systems' 2017 liquidation and re-establishment as Firefly Aerospace Incorporated. It was originally conceptualized as Firefly Beta, following a naming scheme previously established by the Firefly Alpha small-lift launcher. Beta's initial design consisted of 3 Alpha cores strapped together in a fashion similar to Delta IV Heavy or Falcon Heavy. This triple-core configuration would not last, as by 2020 Firefly announced a redesign that replaced it with a scaled-up iteration of Alpha, having a 3.7 meters, 12 feet, stage diameter, a 4.7 meters, 15 feet, tall fairing, and utilizing 5 Reaver 2 engines for its first stage. Additionally, Beta would be capable of placing 8,000 kilograms, 17,600 pounds, into LEO and 5,800 kilograms, 12,800 pounds, into Sun-synchronous orbit, SSO. In October 2021, it was planned that Beta launch vehicle would have its maiden launch in the second half of 2024. In October 2019, Firefly and Aerojet Rocketdyne announced they would form a partnership, detailing that Firefly would manufacture a lifter making use of the AR-1 engine. However, it is unknown if this partnership ever lasted beyond concepts and proposals. On August 8, 2022, Firefly and Northrop Grumman announced a partnership where they would collaborate on the development of both Beta and Antares. Originally operated by Orbital Science Corporation, later Orbital ATK Incorporated, before their 2018 acquisition by Northrop Grumman, Antares' first stage was Ukrainian manufactured and powered by 2 Russian-made RD-181 engines. This setup was jeopardized following the Russian invasion of Ukraine back in February, and forced Northrop Grumman to look in other directions regarding the future of Antares. As part of the announcement, Beta was officially rechristened as the Medium Launch Vehicle, receiving another redesign and stating that a derated version of MLV's first stage would be used for the newly unveiled Antares 300 series. Additionally, MLV would be designed as a full-on successor to Antares, with the 300 series being flown for 3 Cygnus flights as a stopgap while MLV continues development. As such, the rocket would also be able to launch from Antares' launch site at Wallops Island in Virginia. In February 2024, Firefly Aerospace announced that they would be expanding the size of their manufacturing facility in Briggs, Texas to support the production of MLV and Antares 330. This expansion doubles the area of the complex from 8,550 square meters, 92,000 square feet, to 19,230 square meters, 207,000 square feet. 2 months later, they reported that the development was progressing smoothly, with the rocket's Miranda engines beginning full production in June. In the summer of 2024, Firefly Aerospace and Northrop Grumman made an announcement that MLV would pursue a partially reusable configuration in a similar vein to the operations of Falcon 9, New Glenn, and Neutron. They clarified that the first stage will be able to perform return to launch site, RTLS, maneuvers and landings, hoping that the technology for doing so would be refined and put into full use by the 6th flight of the vehicle after its first several flights are made in an expendable configuration. On May 29, 2025, Firefly announced that they have received a $50 million investment by Northrop Grumman in their joint development of the rocket. Additionally, the 2 companies officially renamed the medium launch vehicle to Eclipse. Both stages of Eclipse will use rocket propellant 1 or refined petroleum 1, RP1, and liquid oxygen, sometimes abbreviated as LOX or LOXygen, propellant and a carbon fiber composite for its airframe, iterating on a process similarly used in the construction and flight of Alpha. Together, the vehicle stands at 55.7 meters, 183 feet, in height and 4.32 meters, 14.2 feet, in diameter. Additionally, the fairings are 5.4 meters, 17.7 feet, in diameter and can be customized to suit a variety of payload sizes. The first stage will be powered by 7 Miranda tap-off engines, being able to provide 7,161 kilonewtons, 1,610,000 pounds force of thrust and has 305 seconds of specific impulse, ISP. This stage is designed to be reusable, though a derated and expendable version will be used as the first stage of the Antares 330. The second stage will be powered with a singular Vera vacuum engine, providing 800 kilonewtons, 180,000 pounds force of thrust with an impulse of 328 seconds, 3.22 kilometers per second. This stage will be expended, and thus any Eclipse flight will have a new unit flown for each launch. The maiden flight and other early launches of Eclipse will be made at Launch Pad 0A, LP-0A, from the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, MARS, at the Wallops Flight Facility, WFF, in Virginia. Launch Pad LP-0A was originally built for use in the 1990s for the Conestoga launch vehicle, and has subsequently been used from 2013 to 2023 by the Antares 100 and 200 series. This is in part because of the ease and comparability with Antares 330 thanks to the similarity in first-stage engine. Eclipse will additionally share the pad with Alpha for launches from Wallops, being able to interchange the architecture to support both vehicles. Eclipse will also be able to make polar orbital launches from Space Launch Complex 2 West, SLC-2W, at Vandenberg Space Force Base, VSFB, in California. Historically a Thor and Delta pad for the Western Range, WR, it originally made its way into Firefly's hands following the Delta II's retirement in 2018 and is currently being used to launch Alpha. Similarly to LP-0A, SLC-2W will also be configurable to launch both Alpha and Eclipse. Firefly and Northrop Grumman additionally plan to supplement LP-0A's prograde launches with the use of Space Launch Complex 20, SLC-20, at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, CCSFS, in Florida. SLC-20 is located at the very north of Missile Row, previously used by the Titan I and Titan IIIA in the 1960s as well as various sounding rockets in the 1990s. Firefly Aerospace first gained control of the pad in 2019, following the United States Air Force, USAF, making an expansion of Eastern Range (IR) launch activities in the wake of the new space boom. Firefly Aerospace has declared intentions to construct an assembly facility at Cape Canaveral. However, they have acknowledged in 2024 that they are prioritizing development at LP-0A first, though they reinforced their commitment to the SLC-20 lease in the same statement.